Hi Lara, this is a video that I made for you here real quick. Um, as you can see, I put a camera kind of up at this angle, and you can kind of decide, where you might want to do that. But I did add a camera one here by going to, create camera, and I created a camera. So you've got the perspective view and the camera view, and I think right now I'm pretty sure I'm looking through the camera that I created. I was thinking maybe this kind of angle where you can get your chandelier in. Right over here is a little ball. This is actually one of the balls that will drop down. There's no materials, in here, but if I add, the dynamic gravity drop on this, it'll come down and hit that. What I did was I kind of captured this corner and I took out a few of the chips, around here, because I just don't think, we need a ton of those. Those are what we're really kind of increasing the size of the file. I think, this kind of shot would be, really nice. I don't know if you want to put any other textures on there that we find. When I rendered it on my machine, it took, quite a while. I'll show you. I'll give you a link to a video of what I did with this. But overall, I think you're pretty much close to being done. If you want to animate a few things in here, and I'll show you how you might do that. I actually did one, and I'll show you that movie. But you're pretty close here. I think the problem obviously was that the file was so big it was just impossible really to work with. So I tried to kind of bring it down in size. I think it was about 121 meg, and now I've got it down to about 30 meg, which is still a pretty big file, and that really has a lot to do with a lot of the detail that you have down here with these chips. With this look, with the new camera, I went to panels up here, perspective, and I'm viewing through the camera here. And then when I go to render settings here, we have to, set up the camera for Arnold, and then just look at your notes as far as how we animate. And then when it's all done as far as animating goes, instead of rendering and doing a batch render, what you could do is just go to render sequence and just let it render out everything. Batch rendered probably takes a lot longer, looks good, but it also is leaving what we call a watermark on it, which isn't something that we really want to see. So I would say this one in green, render sequence, would be the one you'd hit once you have everything kind of set up as far as animation. So all I really did was set the camera angle, and then I clicked on your wheel and I grabbed the objects that would spin, and I went ahead and I combined those objects under mesh combine, so they are one, so I could just rotate it. And if you look at my timeline here, I've got the object and I put a keyframe at 1, and I had this turned on, which is automate the keyframes. So I initiated a key here, hitting the S key, and then I moved out to the end of the timeline. I clicked on the wheel, and then I just rotated that around so that it would have some rotation on it. Kind of does that. You can kind of see it moving. That was pretty easy to do. Then I just created this little sphere up here, and I would what I did was I added some dynamic effect to it so that it became an active object, and this wheel became a passive object, so that when I turned the gravity onto this, and you can look at your notes again, but when I gave it gravity to the sphere, it does fall down and bounce in there and goes along with the wheel. It actually is really, really pretty cool. So, I've got this done. If you wanted to, give a material to a ball, maybe scale the ball if you want, or reposition it. But when you're ready to add the effect, you go to Effects, and you select the sphere, and you go to the field solvers at the top, pull down menu, and that would be a create active rigid body for that sphere. I'm not going to do it now. I'll let you give it a try. So that would be that, and then I would give it also gravity, and then you want to take this object and give it a field solver and give that, I think I used a passive rigid body. That should work. If the ball drops and it doesn't bounce around in there, just undo and then try the active rigid body. But I'm pretty sure I used passive rigid body. And so, with all of that, everything should work. I wouldn't add, anything as far as modeling to this. You could maybe grab some of these chips and kind of move them out a little bit. I don't know if you want any more textures on, but I added a light source as well, just an area light. And I think, with it rendered, by giving the area light, a lot more light intensity, maybe about 100, 150, this shot turned out really, really nice. So, just see what you can do with this. But again, it's a really nice project. I'm real happy with it. And, you're real close. It's just, we got caught up with a very large file. There were actually some things in there that I just couldn't figure out what they were, and I deleted them, and it didn't affect really anything. So hopefully this tutorial helps. And if you want to just take a look at maybe finishing up, if you can't render it, if it takes too long, just leave it. You'll be able to see this thing kind of work if you hit the play button once you get everything set up. But a lot of the students, are having a hard time just rendering because it takes so long. And I can just, what I'm thinking is I'll just take those files and render them on, the fast machines as far as the final animation, and then we should be set. So nice work, and let me know if you have any questions.